He didn't leave because he stopped loving you. He left because your new energy no longer played the role his ego depended on. When a woman stops begging, explaining, and justifying, her vibration shifts, not away from love, but away from control. He couldn't handle your peace. This isn't about why he left. It's about everything you did to make him stay, and how your soul finally stopped trying. You didn't lose him. You released what could no longer manipulate your evolution. The moment you stopped betraying yourself, life began to protect you from what you used to mistake for love. That was the beginning of your freedom. When you stopped reacting, he no longer had a way to hold power. You didn't turn cold or bitter. You just stopped giving him access to your emotional world. That silence, that calm, dismantled the dynamic he thrived on. For a long time, your reactions fed his ego. You questioned, you waited, you reached out. Without ever saying it, he felt control over your emotions. But you changed. You didn't beg anymore. You stopped responding with the same urgency. And that silence wasn't cold. It was dignified. He didn't know how to handle it. He didn't leave because he lost feelings. He left because your energy no longer vibrated from need. And without that, his power vanished. He couldn't find the wound to play with anymore. You no longer gave your peace away. That's why he left. Paula stopped writing and crying, and her peace shook everything. He came back, of course, but her response was calm. No fear. That confused him. He wasn't used to her serenity. He had nothing to manipulate. When chaos no longer has somewhere to feed, it moves on, not because it doesn't want you, but because it can't live in healed energy. That's power. Renata once excused his distance. He disappeared, and she waited until she stopped revolving around him. She didn't give him the same emotional space, and that threw him off, not because she changed overnight, but because she stopped waiting. She returned to herself. She no longer explained, or justified, or offered what wasn't reciprocated. And when he came back looking for the version of her he once knew, she was already gone, not physically but vibrationally. When you stopped revolving around him, his ego began to collapse. He thought it was temporary. He waited for you to chase again. But this time, you didn't. Not because you wanted to hurt him, but because you didn't want to keep hurting yourself. He lost access to the emotional space he used to occupy without effort. And what hurt him most wasn't losing you. It was losing that control. Your calm stripped him of the power he once had. He wasn't prepared for your silence filled with self-respect. Martina once believed her reaction was love. She wrote long messages and waited for a reply, until she asked herself, what if I'm the one keeping him from growing? And with that, she stopped. Not out of anger, but out of understanding. He noticed. He reached out but didn't find the same woman. That scared him, because now, without your emotional shelter, he had to face himself. That's what you did too. You left, not with drama but with decision. And he couldn't handle it. Luciana gave everything endlessly, until her body broke from emotional exhaustion. She stopped giving, not out of resentment, but from necessity. He came back, expecting what he always received. But she was no longer available to rescue him. And that shattered him. He wasn't ready to stand on his own. Your energy used to comfort him. But when you stopped giving without balance, his comfort disappeared. You didn't lose a man. You released a pattern that cost you your peace. You stopped revolving. And when you chose not to betray yourself anymore, everything unaligned began to leave. He didn't leave because he didn't care. He left because he couldn't survive in a space where he wasn't the center. You healed, and what wasn't real couldn't stay.